Applications will not allow you to access their database directly. So in that case, what you can do is you can access their REST APIs, and through that REST API, you can access their data, put it into your Pandas data frames, and you can use it. And the example is like currency. I was telling about currency. Now, what is happening is the currency rates are continuously changing. So I want to make an analysis of how my Indian rupee has behaved in the last 1 year as compared to the US dollar, or maybe the Japanese yen, or some of the currencies in the Middle East. So I want to make that analysis. So what I will do is I will use a REST API which will provide me information about the currency rates, okay, as compared to my Indian rupee. And I can put that data with the help of the REST API into a Pandas data frame, and I can make some analysis. So you can take data from NumPy arrays, you can take data from dictionaries, you can take data from SQL databases, a single table, maybe a multiple tables with the help of joins. You can take data from REST API, because every time you cannot use SQL. The problem is you cannot use SQL every time, because all the databases are not directly accessible. If it is your own database, that's fine, but the other applications will not allow you to connect and communicate with their database. Now, bank will not allow you to connect to their database directly. No bank will allow you to connect to their database directly. So you can access their data through their REST API. So I told the bank, I'm an authorized registered client for the bank, like PhonePe, like Google Pay. So my bank will provide me information. So I want information about all the current account holders in the bank. So I collected it through REST API. So I have a get type of a REST API created on the banking server. I collected all the data. I collected all the data of the current account holders from that REST API, and this is the data. Now I don't want to see all the data all the time. Okay, there is so much of data in my data frame, but every time I don't want to use all that data. So how will you be able to access only some specific columns, or maybe some specific rows? How will you be able to do that? So for that, there is a process called as selection. Okay, there is a process called as selection. So we have done that yesterday. Now, if I want to access a specific column, now in this case there are only 4 columns, but this will not be the case in every data analysis process. There can be 7, 10, 15, 20 columns, and I'll show you in some data analysis examples. I'll show you. I've got some HR data, okay, some human resource data I have. So when we will be using that, there will be 15, 20 columns in my data frame, and all the columns at that time will not be useful to me in analysis. So certain specific columns I want to access from that data frame in my analysis. I'll give you an example. Suppose I've got a data about all the employees working in a certain company. Okay, it has got everything, but I want to do some analysis about their gender. I want to find out how many percent of females in this company are divorced. Now, this is one analysis I want to do. How many percent of employees of certain company, female employees of a certain company, are divorced marital status? So how can I do that? Now, in this case, I require only 2 columns. I require column number 1 as gender and column number 2 as marital status. So, but there are 25 columns in my data frame. So using all those columns in the data frame in my analysis is absolutely a waste, because I don't want 23 columns of the data frame. I want only 2 in this analysis. Okay, the analysis, the algorithm that I'm going to write with this data actually require only 2 columns. It requires one gender, and second one is marital status. So only 2 columns I want. So I don't need to know how much distance the employee covers to come to office. I don't need to know this. How much experience the employee has. Okay, what is the address? What is the city? What is the qualification? Okay, I don't need to know anything. Only 2 things I want in this data frame is the gender and the marital status. Whether the employee is male or female, or whether the employee is married, single, or divorced. So that's the only information I need in this example. So when I develop an algorithm, when I want to do some analysis on my data, and there is so much of data, sometimes having so much of data can create confusion, because some data is required by your algorithm and some data is absolutely unnecessary. So what you want to do is you want to remove some data which is not required by your algorithm, and you want to take only the specific columns, specific rows from your data frame, and you want to make some analysis algorithm based on that data. So in that case, we will be using something called as selection. So you take data at the time when you take data from a data source, you can take everything. Means I don't know what all will be required in the future. So take everything from the data source, put it into a data frame. But when you are writing a certain algorithm, make sure that you are using only the data that you require for this algorithm. Like I want to find out how many females in my company are divorced. So I want only gender and marital status. I don't need to know what is the age of the employee. I don't need to know what is the qualification of the employee. But in some other situation, I want to find out what is the average age of my employees working in the development department. Now, what all I need in this example, I need the department and the age, because in this algorithm that I'm going to build with this data, I need certain columns. So I should be able to retrieve the required data from the data frame, because data frame is a place where a lot of data is stored, because the data source provides you a lot of data, and you should take everything. Means at the time when you are taking data from the data source, you should take everything, because you don't know what is required in which example. So you will be building some data analysis process, because you are a data analyst, so you need lot of data. More the data, it's always good. But in building an algorithm, if you have got some unnecessary values coming into the algorithm, that can create some confusion. Having excess of data in your algorithm can sometimes create confusion. So what you can do is you can use this selection algorithm. You can put some data, you can take some columns, you can take some rows from the data frame, put it into your algorithm, do some analysis, do some data visualization, and find out. Okay, so if I want to find out if I want to find out, say for example, I told you how many percent of females in your organization are divorced. So you want marital status and you want gender. In some example, you want age and qualification. So only take that data from the data frame in Python and develop an algorithm. So when you are building an algorithm, you should have sufficient amount of data, and unnecessary data should be avoided. So that's called as data cleaning, filtering, selection, and so many things. That's what we are talking about. So yesterday we did this. So in selection, what we did, we retrieved data from the data frame. Sometimes specific column wise data, sometimes sometimes some row wise data. So you want to take data as per your requirement. So you can see in this example, we are taking data of account holders names and balances. I don't want other data in this example, so I have only taken this much. Or I can take data of a certain row, or I can take data of a certain row and a certain column sometimes. Or I can take data of multiple rows, multiple columns. So whatever your algorithm requires. Now understand one thing, you have got so much of data in your data frame, but you are the judge, because you are writing the algorithm, you are the data analyst, and now you have to make a decision which data is required and which data is not required. That is your decision. And accordingly, you should choose appropriate rows and columns and pick the data. And in filtering is another important process that you can perform on your data frames in Python, where data is retrieved on the basis of a certain condition. Okay. In selection, what you do is you pick data on the basis of some rows and columns. Means you specify, I want these rows, I want these columns, and take the data, use that data for some purpose. I don't know what purpose is, analysis or visualization or machine learning or what. But in filtering, you are applying some conditions. Now, this is very much similar to what we did in SQL. I have got an SQL database in which I have a table, and I want to retrieve certain data from that table. So how I do that? I use a select query, and I perform some operations like select star from employees where department equals to so and so, or sometimes I say select star from employees where department equals to so and post equals to so and so. So I apply multiple conditions sometimes, and I retrieve data. So that can be done even on a data frame. You can imagine the power of a data frame. You can perform so many operations on your data frame, and you can bring some required data out from that data frame and use it for your purpose. So you can see we have applied some condition here. I said I want all the information of players who play English Premier League, but they belong to a country called Spain. So these are the players retrieved from the data frame. There can be more than some thousand players present in the data frame, but you are retrieving only belonging to a certain condition. So that's what you need in a data analysis process, because data analyst has to understand the needs, what analysis I'm doing and what data I actually require. So this is what I can do. So I applied some condition like country equals to Spain, or I can apply a condition like position equals to forward. So only the forwards from your, if I want to apply some multiple conditions, I can apply not also, and I can apply less than, greater than, other conditions. And here I can apply conditions like and or. So this is what we did with SQL. You can do it with here. So country equals to Germany and position equals to defender. So all the players belonging to a country Germany who play as a defender in their respective teams will be taken out and are given to you. So these two records you can see from your data frame. And country equals to Ireland, or the club is Liverpool. So you can use different conditions, and this is in. So this is very similar to retrieving data from a database table, but this is not a database table. It will be faster than accessing data from a database table. So this is what we have done. Now what we will be doing today? The first thing we'll be doing is joining. चलिए कोई बात नहीं, अभी मैं बात कर रहा हूँ जो आप सुन रहे हो शायद सुन रहे हो शायद नहीं सुन रहे हो बिल्कुल। तो अभी मुझे एक आखिरी चीज करके दिखाता हूँ आज की। वन मोर थिंग आई डू, मेरे पैंडास के डेटा फ्रेम में के डेटा को मुझे अगर सॉर्ट करना है, चलिए आखिरी छोटी सी एक्टिविटी है, इसलिए मैं कर देता हूं, 2-4 मिनट लगेंगे इसको करने के लिए। आई टेक अनदर नोटबुक, आई टेक अ न्यू नोटबुक एंड आई विल नंबर इट एज पैंडास 9। ओके, आप एंजॉय करो, हाँ, मतलब डेटा के साथ ये जो आप खेल रहे हो ना, यू आर प्लेइंग विद डेटा। दिस इज अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट स्किल इन द आईटी इंडस्ट्री टुडे, because you need to understand how to deal with data, how to perform operations on data, and that is why Python is known for, and that is why Pandas is such a popular thing. So इसको नंबर देता हूं मैं 9, बस आखिरी चीज है। क्या करूं इसमें, मैं सॉर्टिंग करता हूं, ठीक है। सॉर्टिंग के लिए पहले डेटा ले लेते हैं, पिछले नोटबुक में से ले लेता हूं मैं। ओके, आई टेक दिस डेटा, फाइन। यही डेटा सॉर्टिंग के काम में आएगा अपने। सो आई से कंट्रोल सी, यहाँ पे सबसे पहले इंपोर्ट पैंडास, और रेस्ट एपीआई से डेटा आ रहा है इसलिए नथिंग एडिशनल रिक्वायर्ड। ओके, हो गया, चलिए यहाँ पर मैं कंट्रोल भी, तो ये रेस्ट एपीआई से सारे अकाउंट्स का डेटा लाया मैंने, आपके डेटा फ्रेम में भर दिया। अब क्या मैं पैंडास की डेटा फ्रेम में के डेटा को सॉर्ट कर सकता हूं मेरे जरूरत के हिसाब से, अगर मुझे किसी स्पेसिफिक ऑर्डर में डेटा देखना है, जैसे मेरे अकाउंट होल्डर्स के नाम के ऑर्डर में सपोज, बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं, इट्स वेरी इजी। ओके, मैं दिखाता हूं, दूसरे डेटा फ्रेम में ले लेते सॉर्ट करके, df1 इक्वल्स टू df डॉट सॉर्ट। एक सेकंड देखने दो, किसी ने कोई मैसेज भेजा है आप में से? नहीं, आप नहीं हो, चलिए कोई बात नहीं। सो सॉर्ट अंडरस्कोर वैल्यूज ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ व्हाट, बट चलिए अकाउंट नेम पे कर लेते हैं। आप टाइप पे भी कर सकते हैं, बैलेंस पे भी कर सकते हैं। अकाउंट नेम पे मैंने उसको बोला कि सॉर्ट करो और दिखाओ मुझे दिखाओ df1 में का डेटा। ऑब्वियसली वो सॉर्टेड होना चाहिए अल्फाबेटिकली, नाम पे। लेट्स सी, बिल्कुल हो गया, ये देखिए, ए ए ए ए ए सारे ए वाले पहले, फिर बी, ओके, फिर सी वाले सारे, एंड सो ऑन, और आखिरी देख सकते हो जेड। दिस इज हाउ यू कैन सॉर्ट डेटा, सो सिंपल। df डॉट सॉर्ट वैल्यूज, ये फंक्शन आपको याद रखने पड़ेंगे जितने भी मैं रोज यूज कर रहा हूं। ये सर्टिफिकेशन टेस्ट में तो पूछे जाएंगे, और आपको कभी आगे आपके इंटरव्यू के अंदर डिस्कशन में या कहीं आपके टेक्निकल टेस्ट में किसी काम में आपको इनको यूज करना पड़ेगा। हो सकता है आपको एक CSV दिया जाए, उसमें बोला जाए कि ये डेटा है, इसको पेंडास में लो और ये करके दिखाओ हमको। तो आप क्या करना, पहले ही कुछ ऐसे, मैं जैसे नोटबुक्स बना रहा हूं ना, आप भी ऐसे नोटबुक्स बना के गिटहब पे रख देना, उनकी लिंक्स अपने अपने रिज्यूमे में, अपने नौकरी प्रोफाइल बायोडेटा में रख देना। तो कभी किसी को देखना हो आपकी स्किल्स, यू मस्ट शोकेस योर स्किल्स। नहीं तो सामने वाले को क्या पता ना, आपको क्या पता है क्या नहीं पता। अगर मुझे डिसेंडिंग ऑर्डर में सॉर्ट करना है तो if I want to sort data on descending order, so I'll say df2 equals to df dot sort underscore values on the basis of balance. ओके, बैलेंस के बेसिस पे मुझे सॉर्ट करना है, लेकिन मुझे डिसेंडिंग चाहिए, मतलब हायर ऊपर लोअर नीचे। जैसे नॉर्मली हायर लोअर ऊपर आता है ए और हायर जेड नीचे चला जाता है, अभी बैलेंस पे मैं कर रहा हूं। तो यहां पर आपको एक बस ऑप्शन लिख देना है, असेंडिंग इक्वल्स टू फॉल्स। बस हो गया आपका काम। और इस डेटा फ्रेम को प्रिंट कर लो। सो प्रिंट df2, सो प्रिंट द डेटा फ्रेम एंड दैट्स ऑल। आप देखिए, सबसे हाईएस्ट बैलेंस जिनका है ओके, मनमोहन सिंह 3 लाख, जो रूट 1,25,000, हिबाऊ कुर्टोबा 97 lakhs, सॉरी 97,000, आई एम सॉरी, अल्वेरो मोराटा 96,000, डेले अली एंड सो ऑन। सबसे कम बैलेंस है मिचेल जॉनसन 15,300। तो आपने क्या किया, उसको असेंडिंग फॉल्स बोला, क्योंकि बाय डिफॉल्ट असेंडिंग ट्रू रहता है। यहां पर आपने बताया नहीं ना असेंडिंग, तो अपने आप असेंडिंग हुआ। ओके देन, तो चलिए आज हमने और 3 शानदार ऑपरेशंस डेटा फ्रेम्स पे परफॉर्म किए, ज्वाइनिंग, ग्रुपिंग एंड सॉर्टिंग। कल कुछ और ऑपरेशंस परफॉर्म करते, हो सकता है कल ये सारे ऑपरेशंस हम खत्म कर दें और फिर हम एक्चुअल कोई मशीन लर्निंग वगैरह जैसी एक्टिविटी इनकी मदद से या डेटा विजुअलाइजेशन इनकी मदद से कर सके। थैंक यू सो मच, सी यू टुमारो एट द सेम टाइम 6:15। ओके, और ये अभी आपको 2 मिनट में डाउनलोड के लिए मिल जाएंगे। गुड बाय।